It's time again for the Science Bowl.
Zoo Parade for 5. What big teeth the hippo has are actually a pair of these. Science Potpourri for 10. Would a snake most likely eat every day? Every week, Dateline Science for 10. Why are some elephants wearing necklaces these days? Green things for 15.
And now, here's your host, Mr. Z himself, Dave Zarin.
Thank you, and welcome to the Science Bowl. Here we are at the beginning of our 36th season here in Prince George's County Public Schools, where we emphasize scientific literacy and hope you play along with us and raise your scientific IQ a few points, because we've got some great players here today. It is different. We're on Zoom because of the pandemic. Still, we have maintained the same categories that we've had for our past 35 years. Categories like Zoo Parade and Green Things. Also, we have Let's Get Physical, Body Systems, Science Potpourri, and Dateline Science. And in each category, we've got 3 questions for our teams, one worth 5 points, one worth 15, and one worth 25 points. We start out the teams always with 50 points, just for showing up and looking as good as they do. And the team that is ahead, each of the teams today will get 18 points, different questions, but of equal difficulty. That team will come back and play again and advance perhaps to the semifinals and perhaps this year's county championship. Playing our game today, a team. Our first team hails from Accokeek Academy, and Lillian is out there. Lillian, could you wave to everybody who's watching? Nice to have you here. She's a return player. And Alan, good to have you here. Wave to everybody if you would. Thank you, Alan. And rounding out this fearsome threesome is Roan. Roan, nice to have you on the show. Give us a nice wave. Terrific. All right. If we are ready, let's start our game in Accokeek. Let's go to the Green Things questions. Here is your Green Things question for 5 points. Someone who is snoring loudly is often said to be sawing these green things.
What do you think?
I was thinking of trees.
Yes. I agree. Trees.
Trees?
Give me another name for trees.
Logs?
Logs.
Logs it is, that's right. If you're sawing logs, that's when you're snoring loudly. People say, I don't snore. Well, you can say, yes, you do. You just don't know it. Here's your 15-point question. Good way to start. This flowerless plant that lives on the forest floor and is often found in office buildings where the light is similarly low, reproduces by spores instead of seeds.
Dandelions. Dandelions have.
No, dandelions have flowers. I was thinking ferns.
Yeah, ferns.
Ferns?
Ferns it is. I like how you're playing. 2 for 2. Let's go to the 25-point question in Green Things. Like corn, rice is a plant that accomplishes this important process, critical to reproduction, all on its own. It's called what?
I think it's self-pollination, Rowan.
Yeah, self-pollination.
Yeah.
Self-pollination.
It is self-pollination or self-fertilization. Perfect. You ran the board on the Green Things questions. Nice way to do it, Accokeek. Let's go to the zoo. Zoo Parade for 5 points. These birds really know their ABCs of how to fly efficiently, as can be seen when you see a flock of them in the sky form the letter V.
Geese.
That's right. That's right. It's all for energy efficiency. They draft on each other and, they take turns being the one at the head who encounters the wind. Geese it is. 15 points in the zoo. If you could remove all the sharks from the sea, which would please nervous swimmers, you would upset the ocean's ecosystem. In the same way that removing these top predators would harm the Serengeti's ecosystem.
Lions.
Yeah, lions.
Lions?
You got it. If you took those lions out of there, it would just it would ruin it for the vegetation, because too many herbivores would be around and it would just throw everything out of whack. 25-point question is a visual question, Accokeek. I want you to have a look at these horses. The wild horses and donkeys in America's West, usually hated by ranchers, actually benefit other creatures in that dry environment by digging water wells with their feet. My question for you is, what F-initialed adjective is another name for these wild equines?
I was thinking birds. I don't know. Birds? Okay, let's say that depends around. Okay, so horses. But
I don't remember there being another name for horses.
Okay. Lillian, did you have an answer for the team? Correct answer here. Feral. Feral is the correct answer there. Like a feral dog or a feral cat as opposed to one that is domesticated. Let's go to the body system questions for 5 points. While your heart is sometimes called your ticker, this organ, strangely, is nicknamed your noodle.
Your lung, your intestine, your intestine.
large intestine?
Actually, your noodle is your brain. Your brain is a slang term for it. Let's go to 15 points in the body systems. It's multiple choice. You know, looking at computer screens all day was not easy on the eyes of kids like you. You were homebound during the pandemic. Looking at those screens caused digital eye strain and a rise in the rate of nearsightedness, otherwise known as, here are your choices, another word for nearsightedness. Is it myopia, hyperopia, or astigmatism?
No, I think it's myopia. That was myopia.
I think it's astigmatism.
No, no, because I have myopia. That's what they always talk. What does astigmatism mean?
I think I was foreign, so myopia.
Myopia?
I was myopia.
Myopia?
It is myopia, absolutely right. And Alan, astigmatism is causing its waviness because you've got problems in the front of your eye with the lens and with the cornea there. Good answer. 25 points. Last question in your opening round, the last of your first 9. We're in body systems. People involved in car and bicycle accidents oftentimes damage this S-initialed organ that filters red blood cells and is an important part of your immune system. An S-initialed organ.
Stomach.
Okay, wait. So what's your answer, Owen?
I was testing the stomach makes more sense.
Stomach does make more sense.
Does
Does it filter red blood cells?
I don't know. So
And what was the other? Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, people who were involved in car and bicycle accidents often damage this S-initialed organ that filters red blood cells and is an important part of your immune system.
Yeah, what does the stomach do for the immune system? I guess
it helps digest food.
Yeah, that's the digestive system. The other option I could think of was spine, but I think that's more nervous system.
Yeah, that's a nervous system.
I like how you're thinking. You're thinking S, spine, and S, stomach. The organ is called a spleen, S-P-L-E-E-N. The spleen was the right answer there. That was a great round there to start our game. Accokeek, you have 130 points as we go to the break. We'll see you back in a few moments when we interview you, and we'll give you your second 9 questions. Don't go too far. It is now time to meet the team from Walker Mill Middle School. Would you please say hello to our captain, Layla. Layla waved everybody at home. She is joined by Mason. Hey, Mason, give us a nice wave. And Jorge. All right, the fearsome threesome from Walker Mill. They're going to show people what they're made of. All right, guys, it is now time to start. Let's get to the green things category, and here is your 5-point question. Dogs chasing squirrels sometimes find themselves barking up the wrong what?
Tree. I think tree.
Yeah, they're barking up the wrong tree. And they never seem to catch those squirrels anyhow. The squirrels, they're smart. They just humor the dogs. Good start. 15 points. Green things. You know, growers are no longer cutting down as many pine trees for their timber, since they can make more money over the years by collecting these that they call pine straw that fall from the trees each year and are used as an excellent mulch by landscapers. So instead of cutting down the pine trees for lumber, they're collecting these.
Isn't it like the pine needles or something?
Exactly right. The pine needles, they call it pine straw, and you can use it to put around bushes and it keeps weeds from growing. Good, you're 2 for 2. 25 points in green things. The U.S. government has just added a 9th allergen. If you guys are allergic to things, you know all about this. The 9th allergen to the list of the big 8 that includes dairy, peanuts, shellfish, and wheat. The 9th allergen is the seed that is most often eaten in this country. It's often found on hamburger buns and in hummus.
What do you guys think? Can you reread the question, please?
I'm looking for the newest allergen on the government's list of the big 8. In addition to people who are allergic to dairy and peanuts and shellfish and wheat, a lot of people are allergic to this seed. Often eaten in the United States here, it's on hamburger buns and in hummus. Correct answer is sesame. Sesame, a sesame seed bun. McDonald's advertises that all the time. Let's go to the zoo. Zoo parade for 5 points. Well, the image of pigs flying is only seen on television ads. The mythical Pegasus, seen as a constellation in the sky, was one of these barnyard equines that could fly. Pegasus is a what?
Horse.
It is a horse, absolutely right. You can see it in the sky. Equine is a horse. Good answer, 5 points. For 15 points in the zoo. These ungainly looking birds have a unique body part called a gular pouch that can scoop up and hold large numbers of fish. It's the official state bird of Louisiana and also the name of New Orleans national basketball team. Name that bird.
Pelicans?
You got it. The pelican it is. Excellent. For 25 points in the zoo. Keep it going. Some scientists think that monkeys they've seen pounding on the chests of other monkeys that are on the ground and not moving is an attempt to save their life by performing this first aid that we humans use for heart attack victims.
CPR?
CPR?
It is CPR, that's right. Those monkeys, even though they've never been trained, they seem to have an innate sense that pounding will get that heart to start beating again. Good answer, Walker Mill. 3 more questions before you get your first break. Keep it up. Body systems now for 5 points. Look at this picture.
Adam's apple.
All right. The thyroid cartilage in your neck, which is especially prominent on a man, is often referred to this man's apple.
Adam's apple.
That is the Adam's apple. You got it for 5. For 15 points. You know, with some people wearing masks, like you are, glasses, which some people are, and amplification devices all at the same time, because of all that, audiologists are seeing more and more people who are having problems with this sense organ. Name the sense organ. Say it again.
Hearing.
Hearing or the ear. Absolutely right. 25 points. You're running the board. Get this one right for 25 points. Doctors now know how to repair this P, as in Paul, this P initialed valve in a damaged newborn's heart without open heart surgery. It's miraculous. They use a catheter. So that the heart soon returns to its normal size and the child can live a normal life. This P initialed word refers to things that have to do with the lungs. This P initialed valve.
What do you guys think? I think I have an idea, but I'm not like 100% sure. Tell us. Pancreas?
Not the pancreas. That's a good try. It's called the pulmonary valve. The pulmonary valve, because the pulmonary artery takes the blood from the heart to the lungs. Still, you had a terrific run. Great score. End of the first round with 135 points. Pat yourselves on the back. See you guys in a couple minutes. All right, our Accokeek team is back, and before we ask them their second 9 questions, let's find out a little bit about our players. At the top of the show, I mentioned that Lillian is back, and is she ever? Lillian, tell us a little bit about how many years you've been on this show.
I've been on the show for 3 years, so 6th grade, 7th grade, and now I'm back for 8th grade.
Wow, well, we love having you here. What do you like about the Science Bowl?
I like the way that the competition works, so it's not just a one-on-one, but it's, 3 people, and you can work together as a team and highlight different people's strengths.
Boy, no one could have said that better, because life is about teamwork, and you can do things on your own, but it's always better to have a couple heads and a couple other opinions. What do you want to do someday, Lillian?
Probably either be a violinist or a writer.
Wow, a violinist. You play the violin now, I take it.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Well, you're a disciplined player, and we love having you back here. And you've got 2 newbies with you today, and I know you're showing them the ropes, and you're doing it really well. Alan, I know your first time on the show, and you told me earlier just a little bit nervous. Are you starting to relax just a little bit?
Yep. It's not as hard as I thought it would be, because I thought the questions would be a little bit more difficult, but it's actually coming to me now.
Oh, I'm glad, yes. We want to make questions challenging, but not so challenging that nobody can get them, and you're acquitting yourselves very nicely, all 3 of you so far. Do you have any career goals yet, Alan?
No, not really. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, but it's I just am trying to find out what's right for me.
Oh, boy. You have plenty of time to figure it out, and life is, it has so many choices. And you're going to find something that fits your personality, and if you can get a job that you're surprised people pay you to do because you would do it anyhow, you're going to have a happy life. Yeah, nice to have you here. Let's talk to Rowan. Rowan, first time on the show. Why'd you want to do this?
Both my sisters were in Science Bowl, so I kind of just had to join to keep up the family tradition.
We like that. We like that. And I'm sure your sister's going to be sitting out there, and I hope they're very proud of you. And I'm sure you're thinking maybe in the back of my mind, I'm going to do better than they did. A little sibling rivalry going on there. What do you do in your spare time, Rowan?
Mainly watch YouTube videos.
Yeah. Last year during the pandemic, and even now, watching videos took care of a lot of free time. And what do you want to do someday, young man?
I'm stuck between a career in science or a career in engineering.
Both good ones, yeah. STEM and STEAM seem to be, they'll never go out of style. And I'm sure you're going to do well, whatever you choose. All right, Accokeek, let's get back to the game. All right, currently you have 130 points. I have 9 more questions for you. The first 3 come from Let's Get Physical. So if you're ready, here is your 5-point question, and Let's Get Physical. One of these devices, that is a pair of levers and inclined planes, is involved in the old game that involves throwing down your hand with a certain number of fingers pointing. It's called rock, paper, what?
Scissors.
Scissors, that's right. Scissors are levers, and they're also inclined planes. For 15 points, and Let's Get Physical. The CERN facility, C-E-R-N, it's an acronym. The CERN facility in Switzerland is a huge atom smasher that regularly sends these positively charged subatomic particles crashing into each other.
Hadron Collider?
Would it be protons?
Proton.
Protons?
Protons.
Protons.
You got it. It is protons. Good group think there. 25 points. Let's get physical. Whether you need, the answer will have 3 parts to it, so listen carefully. Weather radar is a beam of pulsed microwave energy that listens for echoes as it bounces off targets in the atmosphere. Usually, these targets are hydrometeors. Like what 3 forms of precipitation?
Okay, hydrometeors, that would be like rain, snow, hail?
Yeah.
You got them. Rain, snow, and hail. You got all 3 at 25 points. Bing, bing, bing. Perfect. Let's go to potpourri for 5 points and show you a picture. You may have remembered in the news that there was a huge cargo ship in the Suez Canal that got stuck, and it was there for over a week. It wouldn't budge. Well, eventually it was freed with the help of tugboats, dredging, and the intervention of the moon, which was responsible for creating a very high what?
Tide.
Tide, that's right. It's called a king tide, and it raised it so high that it was able to float away with the help of those tugboats. And boy, what a lot of us held our breath because so many of the things that we wanted, that we'd ordered, were stuck on that huge container ship. Potpourri for 15 points. Unlike most of the continental United States, the state of Hawaii never has to change its clocks because being closest to the equator, it has approximately how many hours of daylight year-round?
12?
Yeah, 12.
12?
12, absolutely right. That's where the word equator comes from. Equal numbers of hours all year long. Good answer. For 25 points, if you like rotisserie chicken, I love rotisserie chicken. If you cut into a rotisserie chicken and you see a pink color around the bones, the color comes from this red pigment that carries oxygen in the blood.
Marrow?
Marrow.
Marrow?
Yeah.
Marrow?
No, it's called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is that pigment. That's what picks up the oxygen and delivers it to your cells. Hemoglobin is a red pigment in the red blood cells. Good try. Dateline Science, 3 more questions for you. An Alaskan glacier, this is Dateline for 5 points. An Alaskan glacier that now is moving 30 to 60 feet a day instead of its normal 3 inches. This thing is moving. Has been compared by a glaciologist to a plane moving at Mach 4, M-A-C-H, Mach 4, which is how fast?
It's like 300 miles per hour.
300 miles per hour?
Mach 4 means 4 times the speed of sound. The speed of sound, 4 times the speed of sound. Here's a 15-point question in Dateline. There is new fossil evidence that indicates that these apex dinosaurs, these so-called terrible lizards, didn't hunt alone, but in packs. Ugh.
T-Rex.
Velociraptors or T-Rex? I mean,
T-Rex.
can we hear the question again?
Yes. New fossil evidence indicates that these apex dinosaurs, their name means terrible lizards, didn't hunt alone, but in packs.
T-Rex.
T-Rex is right. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Alan, for your assist there. 25 points. Last question of the game. Let's get it. Tough question, but you can do it. UFOs. Whoa. Those supposed alien spacecraft that have been long reported are now being taken more seriously. And instead of UFOs, which stands for unidentified flying objects, they are now being called UAPs instead, which stands for unidentified what?
Artillery projectiles?
What's that again?
It's like missiles and stuff.
Unidentified artillery projectiles?
Yes.
Unidentified artillery projectiles?
I love that name. That's a wonderful name. But what they're calling it now is UAPs are unidentified aerial phenomena. Aerial phenomena. That was a tough question, but you did well in this round. So you end the game, Accokeek, with 210 points. Will that be enough to win? It may be. All right, our team from Walker Mill is back, and we told you who they were at the beginning. Let's find out a little bit more about each of them. Let's talk to our captain, Lillian. Lillian, tell us about yourself. Why'd you want to do this? Why'd you want to be on our show?
I just wanted to learn more about science and just get better at science a little bit more.
That's a good motivation. And you know, the good thing about this is people at home are learning what you know about science. And people tell me when they watch the show how much they learn. It's because of people like you. What are you thinking about doing with your life when you get older? Do you have any career aspirations right now?
Today's weather is a high of 82 and a low of 54. Here's the mail.
I want to be like maybe a scientist or something.
Scientist, right. Well, you're making a good start right here. And STEM subjects, STEAM subjects, that's the way of the world right now. So the more of this you get, the better you'll be ready to take on the world. What do you like to do in your spare time?
I like to do cheer and just have fun.
Hey, boy, that's what life's about. All the fun you can have. And you know, this year, I hope you're making up for all the fun you didn't have last year, and you're kind of reconnecting with your friends. This is a year of recovery in so many ways. You're playing a nice game, Lillian. Let's talk to your teammates. Let's go to Roan. Roan, nice to have you here today for the first time. Let's find out a little bit about you and what it is that, what brought you to this game? Hey, Roan.
I thought it would be fun.
Yeah, I think maybe the speaker's a little bit
It would be
high
fun.
there. Okay. So tell me again, and we'll try it one more time. Why did you want to be on the show?
I thought it would be fun.
That's great. Yeah. In fact, it is. We hope you're having fun. You know, we don't want this to be like going to the dentist and having a tooth pulled. We want you to feel like you are special, because you are. People at home are watching and they're impressed with what you know, and you're doing Prince George's schools proud. And as Mr. Wolf said, if you're not talking, make sure you keep your microphones on mute. What do you want to do someday, Roan?
I don't know yet, actually.
That's a perfectly normal answer. You're a young guy yet. You have plenty of years to decide what direction you want to take, and just stay disciplined and keep doing these kinds of things all your life. You're going to do fine. Let's talk to your last teammate there, and that is, let's see, we've got, who else is coming up here? Alan. Is Alan here? No, this is Jorge. Is this Jorge?
Jorge.
Yes, thank you. All right. Jorge, tell us about yourself, if you would.
Well, I want to be a paleontologist when I grow up, and in my spare time, I play soccer and jump on a trampoline. And I wanted to compete in the Science Bowl for the thrill of competition and the way it could help me become better at school.
That's wonderful. And this will certainly do that. And hopefully your teammates see you, and you get lots of pats on the back and attaboys for doing what you're doing here, because it wasn't required. And I'm glad you took time to do this. And my apologies to Mason. Mason, I've kept calling you Rowan, who was a member of the other team, and you played along with me, and I appreciate that. So we just talked to young man Mason Jones, who was the second member of this team. All right, if we are ready, let's get back and play our game, because we're now about to ask you the questions in the Let's Get Physical category. In early June this year, the moon covered some but not all of the sun during what was called an annular what?
Partial eclipse or something?
Yes, eclipse is what I wanted, called an annular eclipse. Perfect answer, good. And what? You could consider that a partial eclipse. 15 points. While Io, spelled I-O, is one of Jupiter's moons, in chemistry, if you add what additional letter will you get a negatively or positively charged atom? I'm looking for a letter that you would add to the name Io to get in chemistry a negatively or positively charged atom.
What do you think? What do you guys think?
Probably.
You got 26 choices. Give me a letter from the alphabet. You got one chance out of 26. Captain, Layla, give me a letter.
Y?
Okay, good try. It is N, I-O-N, an ion. An ion is a positively or negatively charged atom. 25 points in Let's Get Physical was a multiple choice. Here we go. If you've ever dreamed of climbing Mount Everest, the tallest mountain in the world, ever thought about doing that? It's tough. No, they're going to stay right here. Boy, because the reason it's so difficult is the higher up you go, the less and less oxygen there is, And sometimes you run out of oxygen, and they have found people up there that passed away and their bodies are still up there, preserved because it's so cold and the air is so dry. So to get climbers ready to climb Mount Everest, the guides take them and they put them into a tent. It's an altitude simulator that pulls oxygen out of the air. So it resembles what it is they'll experience when they get to the top of the mountain. Do they call that simulator a hyperbaric chamber? That's one of your choices. Hyperbaric chamber, a hypoxicator, or an iron lung. If you studied prefixes and suffixes, there's a clue in there. You take the oxygen out of the tent so that you know what it's going to be like atop Mount Everest. And do we call it a hyperbaric chamber, a hypoxicator, or an iron lung? Let's hear some ferment. What kind of ideas do you have?
I think the hypoxicator. Hypoxicator?
You got it. Hypo means less. Oxygen in there. That's right. You get some high fives going over there. You got yourself 25 points. Way to go. Let's go to potpourri, 5 points. Scientists have calculated that the number of these invertebrate creatures is going down around the world because fewer and fewer of them are ending up getting splattered on our car windshields.
What'd you say?
Probably a birds.
Birds are a vertebrae, so that can't be it. Yeah. Maybe like a fly or something, like a bug?
Yes, it has to be a bug. Bugs are.
You got it. Absolutely right. Insects is correct. And I liked what you said there. When you thought maybe birds, you said, wait a minute, birds are vertebrae. Yeah, they've got backbones. Birds do collide with glass, some of our windshields, but more often it's insects. And we don't see as many, except when the cicadas were around. They were smashing it all the time. Nice answer. Let's go to 15 points in potpourri for a multiple choice question. Here you go. You might have seen this on television. You see zebras and wildebeest trying to cross a river. The river is flowing very strong, and they're trying to get to the other side, and waiting for them in the water are crocodiles. And they're snapping them off, and they're getting them before they get to the other side. It's heartbreaking to see because they have no choice. They've got to cross. Well, it's been discovered that sometimes hippopotamuses that are in that river, they will come to the rescue of the zebras and the wildebeest and chase the alligators away, the crocodiles away, and attack them. Really nice work. I mean, imagine that. Different species. Is that an example, what the hippopotamuses are doing? Is that an example of pathology, telepathy, or empathy?
Empathy?
Empathy, that's right. That means you're caring about somebody else, something we all should have. Good answer, good answer. You guys are really doing well. 25 points in potpourri. The country of Iceland is using machines to pull carbon dioxide out of the air and then embedding it in the country's porous volcanic pumice rock that eventually becomes this G-initialed solid igneous rock. They're taking carbon dioxide out of the air and they're putting it into pumice, which is real lightweight volcanic rock. And that rock then turns into a solid igneous rock. It's found around the world, beginning with the letter G.
A geoid? So it's an igneous rock that starts with a G?
Correct. Yes, that's what we need.
Okay. What'd you say?
A geoid.
A geoid?
Oh, that's a good try. A geode. Actually, it's called granite. Granite is that igneous rock. Good try. Got 3 more questions for you. Let's go to the Dateline for 5 points. The first sounds ever recorded on the planet Mars by the space probe by the name of Perseverance sounded like the sound of the ocean you can hear when you put one of these objects found on the beach up to your ear.
Seashell?
A seashell, absolutely right. Sometimes you go along, and I remember the first time my dad said, you can hear the ocean. And I said, get out of here. Put it up your, and because of the air moving through there, it does sound like the sea. All right, 15 points, good answer. Multiple choice and a visual. Look at the picture. All right, Walker Mill, Some scientists think that the coronavirus escaped from a lab in Wuhan, China. Others trace its origin to bats that then could have passed it along to a wild animal like this that is eaten in China. Is this, here are your three choices. Is this a civet, C-I-V-E-T, a civet cat, a tenrec, T-E-N-R-E-C, or a tarsier, T-A-R-S-I-E-R? Is it a civet cat, a tenrec, or a tarsier? Let's see if you know your animals here for 15 points.
What do you guys think? Can you repeat the options?
I certainly can. That animal you just saw, is it a civet cat? Civet is spelled C-I-V-E-T. Or is it a tenrec, T-E-N-R-E-C? Or is it a tarsier, T-A-R-S-I-E-R?
Okay. What do you guys think?
I think it's a tenrec because it looks pretty fast, and I think it might like.
What do you think?
It might be a 10 rack.
Okay. The tenrec.
If you're going with the tenrec is actually a kind of hedgehog, and a tarsier is a creature with big eyes and big fingers. Correct answer, it's a civet cat. It's a civet cat, and it smells terrible because it has a musk gland. That's the civet part of it. 25-point question, last one in the game. Listen carefully. Before the pandemic rush to get vaccinated, the record for the fastest lab-to-stab inoculation was the MMR vaccine. Took just 4 years to make it, but 4 years is a long time compared to just a few months for the COVID vaccine. That took place in the 1960s. What childhood disease that causes your salivary glands to swell up is the second M in the MMR vaccine? The first M is measles, the R is rubella. What is the M disease in the center that causes your salivary glands to swell up? You all needed to get this vaccine to go to school in Prince George's County. MMR for 25 points.
So measles, and then what was the last? So the first M was measles. What was the last R? What was the R?
The first M is the measles. The R is rubella, and the M is this swelling of the salivary glands disease.
What do you guys think?
Disease.
So it's a disease and it starts with an M.
In some ways, I'm glad you don't know it because the vaccine's done its work and none of you came down with it. It's called mumps. Mumps. M-U-M-P-S. You end up the game with 190 points. Let's see if that's enough to win this game. We hope you enjoyed today's game. What a great start to our season. You know, we had two evenly matched teams here today, and there were some tough questions, but equally tough competitors, and we are proud of each and every one of them. Our final tally today is Walker Mill, 190 points. Accokeek, 210 points. So, by 20 points, that means Accokeek, congratulations. We're going to see you in the next round of competition. Their coach is here, Miss Edmiston. I know you've worked so hard to get these guys ready, and this was no easy job to do this on Zoom. And I'd like to, let's give a nice round of applause first to the Walker Mill team. Walker Mill, clap for yourselves. Let's clap for them, for yourself. That's right. And keep clapping for that wonderful Accokeek team. And you know, this doesn't happen without the Miss Barrientoses of the world and the Miss Edmonstons, because without those sponsors, you know, school wouldn't happen. And you're just lucky to have them, and we're lucky to have you. Thanks for joining us today on Science Bowl. Hope you join us next time for yet another middle school game here on the Science Bowl. Bye-bye, everybody.